Do you want to successfully complete the WGU C233 Objective Assessment for Employment Law course? Then you're in the right place. Our website provides a list of questions and answers with an emphasis on preparing for your success in the Employment Law C233 course. In this video, we will cover questions from labor laws, employment discrimination, employee rights, workplace regulations, and legal concepts in employment. So, let's get started. 1. A company conducts a mass layoff without providing a 60-day notice to its employees. Under which act could the company face penalties for this violation? A. Age Discrimination in Employment Act. B. Fair Labor Standards Act. C. Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. D. National Labor Relations Act. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. C. Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. Explanation. The WARN Act requires employers to provide 60 days notice before mass layoffs or plant closings. Failure to provide this notice can result in penalties for the company. 2. Which term refers to a strike initiated by workers that is not authorized by the union? A. Unfair labor practices. Strike. B. Economic strike. C. Wildcat strike. D. Sympathy strike. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. C. Wildcat strike. Explanation. A wildcat strike occurs when a portion of workers go on strike without the approval or authorization of the union. 3. Which law requires employers to provide wage replacement and medical benefits to employees injured on the job in exchange for relinquishing the right to sue? A. Fair Labor Standards Act. B. Workers' Compensation. C. Occupational Safety and Health Act. D. Employee Retirement Income Security Act. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Workers' Compensation. Explanation. Workers' compensation provides wage replacement and medical benefits to employees injured at work, and employees relinquish their right to sue the employer for negligence. 4. Which term describes an analysis used to determine whether protected classes are underutilized in different job groups? A. Workforce analysis. B. Job group analysis. C. Underutilization analysis. D. Affirmative action plan. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. D. Affirmative action plan. Explanation. An affirmative action plan analyzes a workforce to determine whether protected classes are underutilized and outlines strategies to address any underutilization. 5. An employer requires an employee to agree not to join a union as a condition of employment. What type of contract is this? A. Yellow dog contract. B. Collective bargaining agreement. C. Closed shop contract. D. Union shop contract. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. A. Yellow dog contract. Explanation. A yellow dog contract is a document where an employee agrees not to join a union as a condition of employment, which is generally illegal under labor laws. 6. Which act prohibits employers from using polygraph tests for recruiting or retention purposes? A. Employee Retirement Income Security Act. B. Polygraph Protection Act. C. Fair Labor Standards Act. D. National Labor Relations Act. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. B. Polygraph Protection Act. Explanation. The Employee Polygraph Protection Act prohibits most private employers from using lie detector tests for employment purposes. 7. What does the 20-factor analysis help determine? A. whether an employee has been discriminated against. B. Whether an individual is an independent contractor or an employee. C. Whether an employer has committed an unfair labor practice. D. Whether a union is representing its members fairly. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Whether an individual is an independent contractor or an employee. Explanation. The 20-factor analysis is used by the IRS to determine if a worker should be classified as an independent contractor or an employee. 8. What type of claim can be filed when an employer terminates an employee as punishment for engaging in a protected activity, such as whistleblowing? A. Retaliatory discharge. B. Wrongful termination. C. Constructive discharge. D. Breach of contract. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. A. Retaliatory discharge. Explanation. Retaliatory discharge occurs when an employee is fired for engaging in a protected activity, such as reporting illegal conduct or unsafe working conditions. 9. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, what is considered a reasonable accommodation? A. Lowering job standards. B. Providing paid leave. C. Adjusting the work environment to allow an individual with a disability to perform job functions. D. Reducing working hours. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. C. Adjusting the work environment to allow an individual with a disability to perform job functions. Explanation. A reasonable accommodation is an adjustment to the work environment that allows a person with a disability to perform essential job functions without undue hardship on the employer. 10. Which federal law establishes the minimum wage, overtime pay standards, and protections against child labor? A. Occupational Safety and Health Act. B. Fair Labor Standards Act. C. Employee Retirement Income Security Act. D. National Labor Relations Act. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Fair Labor Standards Act. Explanation. The Fair Labor Standards Act establishes standards for minimum wage, overtime pay, and protections against child labor. 11. Which act was passed to protect workers aged 40 and older from employment discrimination based on age? A. Americans with Disabilities Act. B. Age Discrimination in Employment Act. C. Fair Labor Standards Act. D. Equal Pay Act. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. B. Age Discrimination in Employment Act. Explanation. The ADA protects individuals aged 40 and older from discrimination in employment based on age. 12. What is the primary purpose of the Uniformed Services Employment and Re-employment Rights Act, USERRA? A. To provide wage replacement for veterans. B. To protect military service members' jobs and ensure re-employment after military service. C. To provide healthcare benefits for veterans. D. To protect veterans from workplace injuries. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. To protect military service members' jobs and ensure re-employment after military service. Explanation. USERRA ensures that individuals who leave their jobs to serve in the military are re-employed in their civilian jobs when they return. 13. Which of the following actions by an employer may constitute a violation of the National Labor Relations Act, NLRA? A. Terminating an employee for insubordination. B. Refusing to negotiate with a union that represents the employees. C. Requiring employees to work overtime during a busy season. D. offering voluntary severance packages to employees. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Refusing to negotiate with a union that represents the employees. Explanation. Under the NLRA, employers are required to bargain in good faith with unions that represent their employees. 14. Which act requires employers with 100 or more employees to give advance notice of plant closings or mass layoffs? A. Family and Medical Leave Act. B. Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. C. Occupational Safety and Health Act. D. National Labor Relations Act. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. Explanation. The WARN Act requires employers to provide 60 days notice in advance of plant closings or mass layoffs. 15. Which law requires employers to verify the eligibility of their employees to work in the United States within 3 days of hiring? A. Immigration and Nationality Act. B. Immigration Reform and Control Act. C. Americans with Disabilities Act. D. Equal Pay Act. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Immigration Reform and Control Act. Explanation. The IRCA requires employers to verify the eligibility of new hires to work in the United States within 3 business days of hiring. 16. Which type of leave allows an employee to take time off intermittently instead of consecutively for medical or family reasons? A. Continuous leave. B. Intermittent leave. C. Paid leave. D. Medical emergency leave. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. B. Intermittent leave. Explanation. Intermittent leave allows employees to take time off in intervals rather than all at once, often for medical or family reasons, under the Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA. 17. What type of contract requires employees to join a union as a condition of employment? A. Closed shop contract. B. Yellow dog contract. C. Union shop contract. D. Open shop contract. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. C. Union shop contract. Explanation. A union shop contract requires employees to join the union as a condition of their continued employment. 18. An employer has created a work environment that an average person would find hostile due to repeated harassment. What is this situation an example of? A. Quid pro quo harassment. B. Hostile work environment. C. Vicarious liability. D. Retaliation. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Hostile work environment. Explanation. A hostile work environment is created when an employee is subjected to repeated harassment that interferes with their ability to work. 19. Which act prohibits employers from knowingly hiring undocumented workers? A. Immigration and Nationality Act. B. Fair Labor Standards Act. C. Immigration Reform and Control Act. D. Equal Pay Act. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. C. Immigration Reform and Control Act. Explanation. The IRCA prohibits employers from knowingly hiring undocumented workers and requires them to verify employment eligibility. 20. What is a civil wrong, such as defamation or invasion of privacy, that causes harm to another person? A. Breach of contract. B. Tort. C. Felony. D. Negligence. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Tort. Explanation. A tort is a civil wrong that causes harm or loss to another person, such as defamation or invasion of privacy. 21. What does the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, require for non-exempt employees who work more than 40 hours in a week? A. Regular hourly pay. B. Overtime pay at a rate of time and a half. C. Double time pay. D. Paid time off. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Overtime pay at a rate of time and a half. Explanation. The FLSA requires that non-exempt employees receive overtime pay at 1.5 times their regular rate of pay for hours worked over 40 in a week. 22. Which of the following laws requires an employer to make reasonable accommodations for a qualified employee with a disability unless it would cause undue hardship? A. Age Discrimination in Employment Act. B. Americans with Disabilities Act. C. Family and Medical Leave Act. D. National Labor Relations Act. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Americans with Disabilities Act. Explanation. The ADA requires employers to make reasonable accommodations for employees with disabilities, unless doing so would cause undue hardship for the employer. 23. Under which law is it illegal to discriminate against employees or applicants based on national origin, race, color, religion, or sex? A. Equal Pay Act. B. Immigration Reform and Control Act. C. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. D. Fair Labor Standards Act. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. C. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Explanation. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. 24. Which of the following refers to an employer's actions that prevent employees from organizing or bargaining collectively? A. Unfair labor practice. B. Worker adjustment. C. Collective bargaining agreement. D. Economic strike. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. A. Unfair labor practice. Explanation. An unfair labor practice refers to actions by an employer or union that interfere with employees' rights to organize or bargain collectively. 25. Which act established the minimum wage and regulations for child labor? A. National Labor Relations Act. B. Fair Labor Standards Act. C. Employee Polygraph Protection Act. D. Equal Pay Act. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Fair Labor Standards. Explanation. The FLSA established the federal minimum wage, overtime pay, and child labor regulations. 26. An employer requires that job applicants pass a medical test before being hired. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, when can an employer require medical testing? A. After a conditional job offer has been made. B. Before an interview. C. During the first interview. D. After the applicant has accepted the job offer. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. A. After a conditional job offer has been made. Explanation. Under the ADA, medical testing can only be required after a conditional job offer has been made to the applicant. 27. Which of the following acts prohibits discrimination against veterans in employment and ensures their re-employment rights after military service? A. Americans with Disabilities Act. B. Uniformed Services Employment and Re-employment Rights Act. C. National Labor Relations Act, D. Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B. Uniformed Services Employment and Re-employment Rights Act. Explanation. USERRA ensures that veterans are not discriminated against in employment and have the right to be re-employed in their civilian jobs after military service. 28. Which law was enacted to prevent businesses from combining to form monopolies or restrain trade? A. Clayton Act, B. Fair Labor Standards Act, C. Sherman Antitrust Act, D. National Labor Relations Act. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, C. Sherman Antitrust Act. Explanation. The Sherman Antitrust Act was enacted in 1890 to prevent businesses from combining to restrain trade and to avoid monopolies. 29. Under which act are employers prohibited from discriminating against individuals with disabilities and required to provide reasonable accommodations? A. Americans with Disabilities Act, B. Family and Medical Leave Act, C. Age Discrimination in Employment Act, D. Employee Polygraph Protection Act. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, A. Americans with Disabilities Act. Explanation. The ADA prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities and requires reasonable accommodations to allow them to perform job functions. 30. Which act created the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, to enforce anti-discrimination laws? A. Fair Labor Standards Act, B. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, C. Family and Medical Leave Act, D. Age Discrimination in Employment Act. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Explanation. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 established the EEOC to enforce laws related to employment discrimination. Struggling with your WGU exams? We've all been there. Welcome to OAExams.com, your ultimate resource for WGU success. Find over 15,000 plus questions and answers. Join our thriving community of over 10,000 active WGU students and an impressive 100% success rate with our premium exam support. Visit OAExams.com today and take the first step toward guaranteed success. 31. Which of the following terms refers to an employer's defense against an age discrimination claim, stating that the employment action was based on a reasonable factor other than age? A. Bona fide occupational qualification, B. Reasonable accommodation, C. Reasonable factor other than age, D. Business necessity. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, C. Reasonable factor other than age. Explanation. RFOA is an employer's defense in age discrimination claims, allowing for differentiation based on factors unrelated to age. 32. What is the primary purpose of the Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA? A. To provide employees with paid time off for personal reasons. B. To allow eligible employees to take unpaid job-protected leave for family and medical reasons. C. To regulate employee medical testing. D. To mandate health insurance coverage for employees. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. To allow eligible employees to take unpaid job-protected leave for family and medical reasons. Explanation. The FMLA provides eligible employees with the right to take unpaid leave for specific family and medical reasons, with job protection. 33. What is required under the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, PDA? A. Health insurance must exclude pregnancy-related conditions. B. Employers cannot discriminate against employees or applicants based on pregnancy, childbirth, or related conditions. C. Employers must provide paid maternity leave for all employees. D. Pregnant employees must be assigned light-duty work.
Can you guess the answer?
Correct answer. B. Employers cannot discriminate against employees or applicants based on pregnancy, childbirth, or related conditions. Explanation. The Pregnancy Discrimination Act prohibits discrimination in employment based on pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions. 34. Which act gives terminated workers an opportunity to search for other employment or obtain additional training following mass layoffs or plant closures? A. Fair Labor Standards Act. B. Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. C. Family and Medical Leave Act. D. National Labor Relations Act.
What do you think is the answer?
Correct answer. B. Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. Explanation. The WARN Act requires advance notice of mass layoffs or plant closures, allowing employees time to seek new employment or training. 35. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, when can an employer decline to provide a reasonable accommodation? A. If the accommodation would impose an undue hardship on the employer. B. If the employee has been with the company for less than 1 year. C. If the employee does not provide medical documentation. D. If the employee works part-time.
Can you guess the answer?
Correct answer. A. If the accommodation would impose an undue hardship on the employer. Explanation. The ADA allows employers to decline accommodations if they can demonstrate that providing them would cause significant difficulty or expense, constituting undue hardship. 36. Which act allows workers to continue their health insurance coverage after leaving employment under certain circumstances? Employee Retirement Income Security Act. B. Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. C. Fair Labor Standards Act. D. Family and Medical Leave Act.
Can you guess the answer?
Correct answer. B. Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. Explanation. COBRA allows employees to extend their health insurance coverage for a limited period after leaving a job. 37. Under which act are employees entitled to receive overtime pay for working more than 40 hours in a week? A. Fair Labor Standards Act. B. National Labor Relations Act. C. Americans with Disabilities Act. D. The Family and Medical Leave Act.
Can you guess the answer?
Correct answer. A. Fair Labor Standards Act. Explanation. The FLSA requires that non-exempt employees be paid overtime at 1.5 times their regular rate for hours worked over 40 in a week. 38. What does the term undue hardship refer to under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA? A. The difficulty an employee faces in performing job functions. B. A significant difficulty or expense for the employer in providing an accommodation. C. The legal standard for proving discrimination. D. The employee's inability to meet essential job functions.
Can you guess the answer?
Correct answer. B. A significant difficulty or expense for the employer in providing an accommodation. Explanation. Undue hardship refers to the significant difficulty or expense that an employer may face in providing accommodations for an employee with a disability. 39. Which of the following acts prohibits employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. A. Age Discrimination in Employment Act. B. Americans with Disabilities Act. C. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. D. Fair Labor Standards Act.
Can you guess the answer?
Correct answer. C. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Explanation. Title VII prohibits employment discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. 40. Which law prohibits retaliation against employees who file a complaint or participate in an investigation of workplace discrimination? A. Family and Medical Leave Act. B. Americans with Disabilities Act. C. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. D. Fair Labor Standards Act.
Do you know the answer?
Correct answer. C. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Explanation. Title VII prohibits employers from retaliating against employees who file discrimination complaints or participate in related investigations. 41. Which of the following describes a situation where an employer's actions are based on discriminatory intent, treating an employee unfairly due to their race, sex, religion, or national origin? A. Disparate treatment. B. Disparate impact. C. Affirmative action. D. Equal employment opportunity.
Do you know the answer?
Correct answer. A. Disparate treatment. Explanation. Disparate treatment occurs when an employer treats an individual differently because of their protected characteristics, such as race, sex, religion, or national origin. 42. Which law prohibits age discrimination against employees aged 40 and older? A. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. B. Americans with Disabilities Act. C. Age Discrimination in Employment Act. D. Family and Medical Leave Act.
Can you guess the answer?
Correct answer. C. Age Discrimination in Employment Act. Explanation. The ADIA prohibits discrimination against employees who are 40 years old or older in any aspect of employment. 43. Which act allows employees to take unpaid job-protected leave for the birth or adoption of a child, or for the care of a family member with a serious health condition? A. Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. B. Family and Medical Leave. C. Equal Pay Act. D. Immigration Reform and Control Act.
What do you think is the answer?
Correct answer. B. Family and Medical Leave. Explanation. The FMLA allows eligible employees to take unpaid job-protected leave for family or medical reasons, such as the birth or adoption of a child or the care of a family member. 44. What is the primary purpose of the Equal Pay Act, EPA? A. To establish minimum wage standards. B. To ensure equal pay for equal work, regardless of gender. C. To regulate overtime pay for non-exempt employees. D. To protect employees from retaliation for reporting wage violations.
Can you guess the answer?
Correct answer. B. To ensure equal pay for equal work, regardless of gender. Explanation. The EPA requires that men and women receive equal pay for equal work, taking into account factors like skill, effort, and responsibility. 45. Which act requires certain employers to continue providing healthcare benefits for a period of time after an employee leaves the job? A. Americans with Disabilities Act. B. Immigration Reform and Control Act. C. Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. D. Fair Labor Standards Act.
Can you guess the answer?
Correct answer. C. Consolidated Omnibus Budget, Reconciliation Act. Explanation. COBRA requires employers to allow employees to continue their health insurance coverage for a limited time after leaving a job. 46. Which law prohibits employers from discriminating against employees or applicants based on their age? A. Fair Labor Standards Act. B. Age Discrimination in Employment Act. C. National Labor Relations Act. D. Equal Pay Act.
What do you think is the answer?
Correct answer. B. Age Discrimination in Employment Act. Explanation. The RDA protects employees aged 40 and older from discrimination in any aspect of employment based on their age. 47. Which term refers to an employer's failure to consider important facts or act in an arbitrary or capricious manner? A. Disparate impact. B. Abuse of discretion. C. Retaliation. D. Constructive discharge.
Do you know the answer?
Correct answer. B. Abuse of discretion. Explanation. Abuse of discretion occurs when an employer fails to consider important facts or acts arbitrarily, resulting in unfair employment decisions. 48. Under which act are employers prohibited from retaliating against employees who report workplace discrimination or unsafe working conditions? A. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. B. Fair Labor Standards Act. C. Age Discrimination in Employment Act. D. Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act.
Do you know the answer?
Correct answer. A. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Explanation. Title VII prohibits employers from retaliating against employees who report discrimination or participate in investigations related to workplace issues. 49. Which of the following acts was enacted to protect federal employees and contractors from retaliation when they report company violations of the law? A. Whistleblower Protection Act. B. Family and Medical Leave Act. C. National Labor Relations Act. D. Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act.
Can you guess the answer?
Correct answer. A. Whistleblower Protection Act. Explanation. The Whistleblower Protection Act protects federal employees and contractors from retaliation when they report violations of the law by their employers. 50. Which law prohibits employers from using polygraph tests for employment screening or retention purposes, with some exceptions? A. Employee Retirement Income Security Act. B. Polygraph Protection Act. C. National Labor Relations Act. D. Fair Labor Standards Act.
What do you think is the answer?
Correct answer. B. Polygraph Protection Act. Explanation. The Polygraph Protection Act prohibits most private employers from using polygraph tests for employment-related purposes, with limited exceptions. You've reached the end of our first question set. For the complete exam preparation experience, visit us at OAExams.com, where you'll find thousands more practice questions and comprehensive study guides. Thanks for studying with us today. See you in the next video.